Welcome to the Legacy Building Leaders TV show, where we are joined in this episode by a special guest, Loredana Sartori, an international coach.
Hello everyone, my name is Loredana Sartori and I'm the CEO of Transformational Coaching. So let me just tell you about myself so you know who I am. I grew up in Bulawayo and I come from a family of 7 siblings. My father was Italian and my mom was Zimbabwean. So I had a normal, upbringing like everyone. And when I got to my teens, it was a bit of a difficult situation for me because I didn't feel secure in myself. I didn't feel confident. And, like every teenager, we all have our issues. So when I was 18, I decided that Bulawayo was a bit too restrictive for me, and I decided that I wanted to go to Italy to live. After my first job, I took a one-way flight and I moved to Italy. And I think that was a very good step on my behalf, if I must say so, because most teens, the best way to do things is to put a challenge in front of you. And that's exactly what I did. And I left saying that I was going to make the most of my life, be the biggest success that I could be, and just follow my dream. So I landed in Italy and it was like, wow, okay, here I am, what now? And it was amazing because once I kept my positive mindset, things started opening for me and I just started to, do what I felt I needed to do. So every job I was in, I would ask myself, is there anything I need to learn to better myself in this employment? I did a lot of diplomas, various diplomas in my life, and I just kept that lifelong learning going. It was amazing because I went from, just went up and up in the steps on the career path. And so my last job in Italy was working for an investment bank on the main fashion street in Italy. And I achieved a lot because, as I said, during those years, I just improved myself, did diploma courses all along, and just put myself out there. But my yearning for Zimbabwe kept going stronger and stronger. And I felt that I really needed to get back home. So after a while, many years spent in Italy, I decided to come back to Zimbabwe. And a lot of people said to me, what are you doing? You're crazy to go back. But I knew that was where I needed to be. So I did come back. And yes, it was difficult. But the important thing is that now I'm living my purpose. And I feel more alive than I've ever felt in my life. And I know that we can all follow that path. Some people may be stuck where they are at the moment, or they may be feeling stressed or anything. But the wonderful thing in life is that you are in charge of your life and you are, the CEO of your life. And you can become anything you put your mind to. Because the most important conversation, as I always say, is the conversation we have with ourselves. If we tell ourselves we will fail, we will fail. If we tell ourselves we will be a success, we'll be a success, and no matter what we decide to do. And yes, we will go through moments where we feel stuck. We will go through difficult moments in life. Life is not just one big party, but we do, and we can learn the skills and the tools to actually move forward in life and be who we want to be and what we desire to be. So, as I said before, I'm a transformational coach. I am certified in hypnotherapy, and hypnotherapy basically is just shifting a person's mindset, shifting their belief system. As we know in the Bible, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And my humble interpretation of this is, as you talk to yourself, okay, because when you think in your heart, it's what you're thinking about yourself, so you will be that. So my passion in life is just to help people get unstuck and move forward to be that great person that they were meant to be born. Rumi, who was a famous poet and amongst other things, said, you were born with greatness. Why must you crawl? Okay? You will have wings, you need to fly. And I believe that every human being, no matter what you do in life, you don't have to become this mega CEO of a company. Maybe that's not your life path, but whatever you do, you can succeed. But you need to know and have the tools to move forward in life. So, as I was saying, my purpose in life is to help people to become that great person they are, because we are all great. We've been made in the likeness of God, and we have this potential in each one of us, but the key is to unlock that. So I'm very happy with what I have achieved in life and what I am achieving in life. And I'm looking forward to a real prosperous future and helping people. I also do a lot of corporate training because a lot of people need skills and they need to know how to unblock themselves in the workplace as well. And that's my purpose, which I'm very happy to serve. Thank you.
All legacy building leaders have a story to tell. So we've listened to the story of Loredana Sartori. What is very special about the Legacy Building Leaders TV show is the interaction between our guests and young people, impacting and influencing the next generation. So in the next segment, Melba and Nyasha are going to engage with Loredana.
Hello, my name is Melba Mbazera and I'm the head girl at Light Christian College. Now, a lot of young people tend to suffer from low self-esteem, resulting in lack of confidence. How can a young person boost their self-confidence?
Okay, thank you. That's a very, very valid question because a lot of young people are suffering from lack of self-confidence. So what I can suggest are just a couple of steps. So number one, you need to become your best friend, okay? Because if you don't support yourself in life, who's going to support you? Yes, you can have family and friends, but when the going gets tough, you need to form, it's called inner bonding. So you need to form that relationship with yourself. So you can also have, you know, times where you sit down and just say, okay, so how am I feeling today? All right, and you talk to yourself. There's nothing wrong with that because that is forming a relationship with yourself. The second thing is take care of yourself. So if you are going to eat junk food the whole day, your body's going to feel junk and your mind will feel junk and you will feel junk. So take care of yourself. Exercising releases that happy hormone in us, okay? And that's an excellent way to boost your joy and your confidence. And the third thing is set a challenge. So if there's something you've really been wanting to do, set a challenge, because what it will do is as you start taking those steps to achieve that challenge, you will actually feel more confident as you go ahead. And when you accomplish that, it will be, wow, look what I did. Okay, even if it means getting an A in a subject or whatever, or being able to exercise daily for 10 minutes, that is boosting your confidence. So confidence is boosted one step at a time. Okay.
Hi, my name is Nyasha Mjingi and I'm from Loredana College. My first question for you, ma'am, is what are the major sources of stress in Zimbabwe?
Okay, so in my opinion, the major stress in Zimbabwe are two. Number one is the financial situation. So finances are big stress in everyone's life. The second one is the COVID-19 pandemic. Because there's such a lot of uncertainty that is surrounding that, and you know, we really don't know the way forward or when it will end. That is a big, big source of stress. And of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has an influence on our financial situation. Companies can't keep open as much, you know, so money isn't really flowing. So these, in my opinion, are the two biggest stress factors.
As you mentioned earlier that COVID is one of the things, what we can say, causes stress in Zimbabwe. And it has affected so many families and children are also affected. So how can young people deal with stress in their lives?
Okay, so definitely you're on point on that. So how they can deal with the stress caused by COVID and everything that is happening at the moment is, you know, they need to acknowledge their feelings. I think that's a very important aspect. You know, we've all grown up saying that we need to just, you know, move on and, you know, don't be strong, don't be weak. It's a sign of weakness if you break down and cry. But actually feeling the feeling actually brings it out of your body, okay? It helps you to get past whatever is happening, if it's trauma or the stress, okay? So that's one thing. Like I mentioned earlier, is just forming a relationship with yourself and speaking to yourself and showing self-compassion to yourself, because that's what we need to teach our younger generation to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. And admitting that you are going through a hard time is actually a point of strength. It's not a point of weakness. Third thing is to have a structure. So when there's a routine for the younger generation, it forms security in their life, because they know, especially the youngest ones, you know, that they're going to bed at a certain time, they're getting up at a certain time. It actually makes them feel, you know, sometimes we think it's just rules, but it makes them feel secure. And of course, Self-care. So eating well, exercising, like I mentioned before, these are all things that the younger people can actually start exercising. And as they do that and putting it into action, they will feel that it's a way for them to cope. And parents also, please assist your younger generation, children. You know, be more understanding. And knowing that as you are stressed, your kids are stressed maybe twice as much. An adult has got the tools most of the time to deal with it, but the younger generation don't. But they can learn tools, coping mechanisms.
Well said, ma'am. Last but not least question is, how can young people achieve emotional and mental health, which is key to their personal and career development?
It is key to personal and career development. So I can suggest a few pointers there. We get back to the relationship. I'm always on that, okay? Because if you can't sustain yourself and you can't fill your own cup, you can't expect other people to do that. So be your best friend. Second thing is you need to learn coping skills. You need to learn. There are skills that can enable you later on in life to actually cope with stress, cope with conflict, you know, in the workplace, or conflict at school or whatever. So there are a lot of skills that as a young person we can, you know, even how to handle emotional things that happen and trauma. There are skills out there. And it's something that we need to learn because we're not born just knowing automatically how to cope. We're not. So there's nothing wrong with saying, I don't know how to cope, but I need to learn how to do it. Okay, so the key factor here is you need to learn those skills. And you know, the internet in this day and age offers a lot of free resources. So if you're having a particular problem, what I do suggest is go Google it. Okay, you can find a lot of, you know, stuff that isn't adequate. But go, and there's a lot of free courses out there. So you need to get into the habit of becoming a lifelong learner, because you're always going to have to learn in life, no matter what you're dealing with. Okay? And if you set the ground rules now in your youth, if youth do that, they'll be able to cope in life. They'll be set up to cope in life much better, because life has got challenges. There'll never be a challenge-free life. But the beautiful thing about it is that we can actually learn the skills to do that. And of course, self-care, that's basic. You know, you have to take care of yourself. You have to eat well and you have to exercise. And of course, there's other skills like, you know, relaxation and deep breathing and all that. But like I say, you know, take one thing at a time, see what's your most immediate thing that you're lacking, and then move forward on that.
So we've just witnessed the engagement and interaction between Melba and Nyasha and our guest, Loredana. And we believe all legacy building leaders should endeavor to impact the next generation of leaders. We are now getting into the last segment of the Legacy Building Leaders TV show, where we now look at the anatomy of Loredana Sartori's legacy. So, Loredana, when we look at your legacy as a leader, we are looking at your contribution, because that's what legacy is about. It's the kind of solutions that you provide to other people. Mm-hmm. And as a coach, I'm sure you're always looking at ways of how you can help other people. I think when I was listening to your story, you said something very interesting. You said you want to help people so that they're not stuck, so that people can move forward. And one area is obviously this area of stress, you know, management. You have had an experience of being in Italy during the peak of the COVID environment. And in Zimbabwe at the moment, you know, the third wave, it's another major issue, but it's nothing compared to what you experienced, you know, during your time in Italy. Any lessons, any insights from your Italian experience that you think can help us to cope so that we are not stuck?
Yes, sure, Charles, thank you. Yes, last year I was in Italy and I was in the red zone, so the place where we were really hard hit, and there were times we couldn't even go out for a walk. And really, that was a very good, very big stress moment for us. And I feel that, you know, sometimes when we get to the point in our lives when something happens and what we used to is no longer what it is, okay, it's very hard to deal with that. And that's happened to everyone worldwide and here in Zimbabwe as well. And in those moments, what I really feel is that we need to just taken what's happening perhaps and say, okay, fine, everything's changing, and some people don't like to change. We need to find new ways of how to do things. And already we have seen online working and all that has come, online schooling. So what I can suggest is, keep moving. Because sometimes people get frozen in that moment of fear, frozen in that moment of what am I going to do? But if you keep taking one little step forward, no matter how big that step is, sometimes for some people, all it will mean is getting up in the morning, having a shower and getting on with their lives. One step at a time, do that.
And how do you overcome fear? Because I noticed that's one of the effects of COVID. Yeah. How do you have hope in the face of death?
What I can suggest is this, because we saw it on the news, it was all over. You would see how, they weren't coping, the hospitals weren't coping, and they had got to the point where they had to choose who they're going to give treatment to. So the thing is that with fear, number one, you have to, F is feel it, okay? You've got to feel that fear, because it's not going to go away. It's not mind over matter. You can't say, oh my goodness, now I'm not going to feel it. Now I'm not going to take away this fear that maybe I can get COVID or my children can get it or my loved ones. So we have to feel it. The second thing is we have to embrace it. Okay, it's fine to be fearful. There's nothing wrong with feeling fear in your life. It's a human reaction, because what happens is in the face of fear, we've got that fight or flight response. Okay, it's normal. It comes from this, we've always been like that. So we need to embrace it. Okay. The third thing is A, and that is act. You need to do something. So in your best power, do what you can to prevent COVID coming to you and to your family. Wear your mask. Wash your hands, sanitize, do what you can do, act on it, okay? And when you're knowing that you can do the best of your ability, all right, you will feel that fear subside. And that's in everything in life. And then what you do, the fourth one, is repeat.
Talk to us about issues of stress within the workplace. What is the impact of stress within the workplace, especially also in a COVID environment?
Yes, so stress management is something that is very dear to my heart, because I myself felt it on my own skin, okay? Throughout my life, I wasn't able to manage stress. So I let it get to me, and it did have an influence on my life. And of course, as you mentioned with the COVID-19 pandemic, the stress is even more. We can feel it more, okay? So we must realize that we've got an employee who comes to work. Number one, they've got their own personal stress, because each one has got their own lives, and there's always things that happen in our lives. So obviously with the COVID-19 pandemic, we're seeing loved ones dying, we're seeing tragic things happening, and that is causing us, if we can't process that and we are going under trauma, it will cause us to have our own personal stress. We get to the workplace, the company is stressed because number one, maybe things aren't going as well as they were because we've got less working hours, or we're dealing with the stress that's there at the company. So you've got an employee in this day and age who's got double stress, okay? So it really is like that. And what's the effect on the organization? What happens is you're going to get an employee you're going to have more absenteeism, okay? Maybe more claims there's more accidents, so you're going to have more claims. You're going to have staff that are not happy and content being at work, okay? You're going to get employees who are making wrong decisions, because when you're under stress, you cannot your decision making is actually affected, okay? So all this will impact the company. And especially we must understand that if we've got a happy employee at work, okay, that will actually impact the loyalty of the client, okay, and will impact our profit. Because if you've got a happy employee, a client will like to come back to the company. Have you ever been to a place where the employee is so unhappy and you think, oh my gosh, I'm not coming back here again? Right. All right? Mm-hmm. So it's got a lot of effect. And of course, the person in themselves can get very ill. There's all the sicknesses related to stress. Right. So, your high blood pressures, your heart disease and all that.
Companies, from your experience, do they have ways of dealing with this?
I don't believe they do. Because in my experience, and I'm just talking about my experience,
yes.
When I was under stress,
right.
There was no solution given to me.
Right.
Okay, and unfortunately, there was no understanding. You see, it's very important that we understand what stress is, right. Because stress, number one, is different for you than it is to me. So I may get stressed out of something which you may think is ridiculous. Okay, and we find managers, we also do not have this compassion and understanding of what stress is, and so they're now judging the employee and saying, you know, why are you so stressed? What is wrong with you? Okay, we don't want that in the workplace. What we want is to create this environment of so where the employee contributes, where there is a conversation, a dialogue between the employee, and that's what it is. That's what a company is all about. What I do at the moment is that I have developed a program to help employees manage stress, and it's twofold. Right. Number one, it teaches the employee how to manage their own personal strength, so all the techniques that they need. Right. And number two, it offers the employee to learn certain skills in the workplace of how to cope with stress. Right. So this can be time management, okay, ways that they can actually set their boundaries at work, okay, other skills, you know, like how to be a good leader, how to, you know, all this communication as well, because even communication, if communication breaks down between an employee and a manager or a boss, right, that creates stress. And what I am doing at the moment is that I have a questionnaire that employees can actually fill out, because every company is different. Right. Employees are different. So for company A, they may have stress related to a certain topic. Right. And so this questionnaire helps companies understand where the stress factor is with their employees.
When you're talking of this stress management, yes, you know, a program that you're talking about,
yes,
in a COVID context, is this all virtual? How do you do that? Because obviously now you have got a situation where, you know, there's remote working.
Yes, so like I mentioned, the way I coped and how coping skills for the pandemic is to think of new ways of doing things. And obviously we've all moved to the online. So these sessions are actually, you get the video and then there is the coaching once a week. You know, online. So everything is online. So what I encourage always is that people come up and ask their questions, things that are worrying them, things that they can't manage, you know. It's not just me saying this is what you need to do, because this is an experience and people need to experience it to see how it works.
So we've just listened to the legacy building leadership story of how we can cope with stress management from Coach Loredana Sartori. If you know anyone out there who is a legacy building leader whose story can inspire and empower others, please feel free to recommend them on the contact details on the screen. And we meet again next Friday at 5:30 p.m. on another episode of the Legacy Building Leaders TV show.